Drops podcasts. It is Black Friday today. We've got Jacob Neffendorf on from Rise Online Ads. And today we are going to be talking about blue collar AI as it relates to blue collar business owners. Specifically, Jacob's going to be talking in the frame of land clearing guys and how. Well, let me just ask you this: what are people going to learn on today's podcast?
100%. Yeah, I kind of just want to talk about how to go from, the consumer who just uses AI like Google, and then there's this whole other side of people who, are investing millions in AI infrastructure and teams and agents. I kind of want to hit somewhere on the 101, 201 side of that where we use it in a very smart way that makes our business more efficient, makes us look better, and makes our business better without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, but also not using it like a noob.
Absolutely. So let's start with that. How do you not be a noob at AI? And so let's define that first. Being a noob at AI is literally just using it like Google search. How do
100%.
you not be a noob?
Two big things are feeding it as much information as possible. The goal is not for you to just type in a one liner and have it spit something out. Now, there's two ways to do that. You can either, in a normal session, give it a whole bunch of information, which I've found that talking to it audibly is the easiest way to give it a whole bunch of information. Or the kind of 201 level of that is to have a custom one, a custom GPT, where you have fed it as much information about you and your business and how you want it to behave ahead of time. That way, like for example, if you have all of your pricing information and all of your variables and all of the things to ask for, then you can just feed it a one or two sentence thing about, hey, help me help me build out an estimate or proposal for this property at this location. Here's the size and basic information. And if you have it set up with a prompt to ask clarifying questions when it doesn't have all the information it needs to put out the ideal response, then it will ask for those. And so then it now makes you way more efficient and you get a better product.
So specifically, um, how do people prompt Chat GPT, or do you use Claude at all?
I use Gemini and ChatGPT mostly.
Okay. So how do people start with the prompt to get the AI trained on their business?
You can get prompts from folks who have already built and trained some ones that are, very good, or you can kind of play off of those. My favorite way to start from scratch is to tell it your goal and ask it to ask you questions on what it needs to get to that goal. And so, like, what do I want the perfect ideal outcome to be? And it's like, hey, ask me the questions that you need for me to be able to put out the most professional, accurate proposals for my land clearing business in a timely and efficient manner with as little information in the moment as possible. What do we need to do to build that out? And then it'll just tell you what it wants. But
And
you
then
have to be
from
very specific. Like, if you don't want emojis, if you don't want it to assume things, if you don't want it to pull information from competitor, like, don't Google search. Or if you want it to Google search, or whatever, you just have to be pretty specific. But sometimes, like, if I'm just having like writer's block on putting something in, you open up the voice mode on any AI model, it will listen to you for an hour. You can just keep on going, and it's going to take down all of that information. And it will, like, take your ums and your thoughts and your bunny trails, and it will just organize it all together for you, um, which is really, really awesome.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've found that sometimes it's just helpful to get thoughts out, and like it helps organize what's going on and bouncing around in my head. And
Yeah.
so somebody asked me the other day, like, what do you think the highest leverage use of your time is? And I would be lying if I said it wasn't like spending a portion of like having a conversation with. I'm using Claude now because I really like their project features.
Yeah.
So there's all these different, for our listeners, like there's multiple different tools, and you guys have probably heard of these. There's ChatGPT. Google just released Gemini,
Mm.
which is really, really cool. I don't know if you played with the new Gemini 3 model,
Oh yeah.
but Claude is another one, Claude, that I've really enjoyed using. And the reason I like projects is because you can create a project and then you can train it based
On the project.
on what the project that you're doing, right? And so
Yeah.
the way that this looks practically is you have a conversation with AI, you get clear on your goal. Let's get specific here, Jacob. Like in the pre-recording, you mentioned some very specific things like the 12-month content plan, right?
Yep.
So like talk about that and why that would be important to start a conversation with Claude or GPT and then create it in a project format.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Claude is I think Claude is like the top at writing. Gemini, in my experience, has been the best at um, it's been the best at like pulling out ideas and commonalities when I upload like bulk stuff. And ChatGPT is just kind of the most versatile because it's so open. You can tie it to so many things, but you have to be the most specific in your prompts with ChatGPT because it'll kind of go its own way if you don't give it very, very clear direction. But the 12-month content plan, I think, is so awesome, especially right now. Content is becoming like the most important thing in the game. And especially in the blue collar and extra, especially in the lane clearing space, if you can win the content game, you're going to stand out so quick, so fast, and so high above your competition. But that can be a daunting task to think, holy cow, I have to put out content every single day. Well, if you give a nice prompt saying, hey, my goal is to give you information about my business, my location, what we do, what my ideal client wants to hear, learn, and know about. And I want you to take that information. I want you to scrub my website, scrub my social media profiles, and I want you to give me a 12-month content plan. And when you prompt it out, like I like to have custom GPT. So I have like a content plan GPT that already has this prompt. So I can just throw in someone's website and it already does all that. And then I have a pricing one, and then I have an ads one and a video script one. Just so you don't have to train it every time, but you don't have to do that. So then you say, hey, put out this 12-month content plan, and it's going to figure out like top 12 topics. And you could tell it ahead of time, like, hey, I want to make sure that, forest management is in there. I want to make sure that, forestry, health, fire mitigation topics are in there. I want to make sure pricing topics are in there. And it'll make sure to throw them in. So what it's going to do is it's going to pop out those 12 months. And it's good to chunk things out like this. You don't want it to do too much at once, or it will start getting lost in the weeds. So, because it's bandwidth kind of, depending on the model you're using, the bandwidth is only so far with what it can put out at one time. So you put out the 12-month content plan and you're like, okay, now go month by month and give me, within each month, I want once a week topics. So I want 4 topics for each month. And it's going to come up with those titles. And then from there, you say, okay, each week I want 5 video ideas from that. And what I like to do is have a live Google Doc, and so I'm sending this stuff over as it's happening. And then with those 5 video ideas, if that's not enough for your brain to be able to pop out a video, you can say, hey, give me 5 video scripts that are set up between 30 and 60 seconds with a strong hook, a good content in the middle, and a strong CTA at the end, a call to action at the end. And it will literally put it out just like that. And then you do that for the next month, the next month, the next month. And guess what? You're going to have 300 pieces of content that you don't even have to think about. You just have to read it, do it, move on. Um, and I mean, to me, like, you just can't get much more efficient than that. And 5 years ago, you would have had to pay someone a lot of money to build something like that for you.
A lot of money. I mean, what do you think that that 12-month content plan would have cost 5 years ago if you paid an actual professional agency to do a deep dive on your business, research? I mean, you can literally just give the AI your website link and have it scan your website, and then it
Yep.
pulls information based off of what you have. How much would this have cost 5 years ago?
I'd say conservatively $1,000 a month, but probably way more than that. But I'm just trying to make it easy. But yeah, I mean, at least $1,000 a month, and they probably will give you one piece of content, maybe two, maybe a blog and a press release or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. If not more. Like I definitely have heard of just straight up media agencies charging, you know, 3 to 5K a month, you know, at the higher level, right? And so it's like at a very low point, you're talking like 12K a year, all the way up to 60K a year, and this is
Easily.
right in front of you. And it costs, what does GPT cost? Like $20 a month. Claude, I know, I just signed up or re-looked at my billing, and it's like $20 a month for what
Yeah,
I'm using Claude for.
yeah. And this is sort of a sidebar, but talking about like custom models with any of them, I created one called Chat Jacob. That way, if I'm unavailable, anyone on my team can talk to it, and it responds just based on how I normally respond. And I just gave it thousands of transcripts and conversations and videos and documents that I had made. Um, and it's like 9 out of 10 answers exactly what I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how fast it's moving. Because Gemini, correct me if I'm wrong, Gemini, if you give it access, like it can access every Google Doc you've created, all your spreadsheets, all your Gmail emails,
Yep.
correct?
Yep. Yeah. And like, I have an AI tied to my email, which I don't know how many land clearing guys do a whole lot of emails, but it now knows exactly how I would respond, and it knows like about what I have going on. So when I open my email, if somebody emails me, there's already a draft response. I just have to proofread it, maybe fill in some facts or numbers, and hit send. So I spend 10x less time on emails than I used to.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, let's get tactical for our listeners here, because we can sit here and talk high level for probably the next couple hours of where this is going to be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But I want to give listeners actionable advice right now. So, how specifically should someone who is just now signing up for ChatGPT to use it for their business, or Claude, what is the tactical thing that they need to do right now to start training it on their business?
The easiest thing is to talk to it and tell it, hey, I want you to remember everything I say to you. Now, what I would do is put out like a one-time longer amount of effort to give it as much information humanly possible about you, your business, your area, your ideal customer, how you operate, what machine you have, what it's capable of, what machines you may have, what's your goals? Like, are you trying to get from 500K to a million this year? Are you going from 0 to 500? All of those things need to be in there. And I'm trying to think of the easiest way to show you. Basically, when you're in ChatGPT, if you go to the menu and you click Create Custom or Create New GPT, in that is where you can give the prompt for it to remember all the time. Now, 5.1, if I remember right, it will remember as long as you're signed in. But if you end up having all kinds of different conversations, it may get clouded up. So I would keep one specific for your business and just give it as much information as possible. And then if you hit like a writer's block, ask it to ask you, like, hey, what information? I want to provide you with as much information as possible for you to be able to help me in my business. So ask me questions, and then you just answer them. And if you have this in voice mode, you can just, like, if you don't like typing or you have a hard time typing, just put it in voice mode and then have it ask, and then you answer, ask, and you answer, and it will save that. The most practical version of this is like pricing or estimates. And so it's super good at, if you created one document that showed like all of your base of your pricing, like if you have a minimum, put your minimum in there, and for what that is. Like if you have a minimum for clearing, a minimum for mulching, a minimum for fire mitigation, put all those things in there, and then put all of the variables. Like, okay, I know my operating expenses, so I need to make at least this much a day. I need to make at least this much an hour, but my goal is to make this much an hour. And then another thing you can throw in there is like tree density or forest density or slope, terrain, weather, distance, anything you could possibly think of that would normally affect price, you can put it in there. Um, and then when you do this enough, it will make it to where you can just put in like, hey, Susie's got land in Comal County. It's 3 acres. What estimate should I send them? And it's either going to spit out a range or it's going to ask you for more clarifying questions. And it can be really cool. And then, of course, we all know Brushworks created like the 301 version of this, where all this information gets sent as he's talking, and it creates the estimate for him, which is pretty darn cool.
Yeah, super cool. Super cool. We'll save the vibe coding. For those of you who don't know the term vibe coding, that means coding with AI. We'll save that episode for, maybe we can do a 3-way episode with Alex from Brushworks. Have you messed around with any of the vibe coding stuff?
Not a whole lot, no. I mean, in little chunks, like to create a tool or a calculator or something like that to embed somewhere. But in terms of like full on, like I've pulled codes from websites and been like, hey, add this to it, and it'll drop the HTML that I want in there, and then I just paste it back. But that's the extent of it for me.
Nice. It's fun. So as I told you before, I lost my voice this past week. Finally, just kind of magically came back this morning. Still pretty bad, but I was just like, what can I do with my time here that's going to be valuable? So I just dove straight into all the vibe coding stuff, and it is super cool and super fun. So
Oh yeah,
yeah, we're pretty close to like version 1 of that same tool internally for fire mitigation, of being
nice.
able to like transcribe. So like our sales rep will take a limitless pendant, right, and it records so that it transcribes, and then we have the prompt to where it can take notes and pull out the high value parts of the conversation with the customer. Because like what happens whenever you're on site on a sales visit, right? It's like sometimes you forget those things. And so having AI like pick up on the little nuances of what the customer says is important to them has been really cool. And then we take that transcript, feed it into an AI model, and basically run it through our estimating template, very similar to what Alex is doing. And then we've trained it on our fire mitigation pricing. And then so my ideal scenario, and I have an AI automation engineer working on this on the back end for us. Like right now, we have to do all these like nerdy API stuff where we create that estimate, send it over into Jobber. But I'm exploring, Jobber, if you're listening to this, you're going to hate me for this, but I'm exploring our own internal tool for estimating so that we can just continually refine it, and make it better. Because it's moving fast, and we're now to the point to where it's almost like if you got the idea and if you're willing to spend a week building it, you can get pretty dang close.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. But I want to come back to the very starting basic point, because I know a lot of people are just like, what the heck are y'all even talking about? I've never even heard vibe coding before. Let's talk about, I got a prompt here that I'm going to share just to get specific with you guys. I'll share my screen. Jacob, was there anything you were going to add on that before I jump into sharing screen?
You just mentioned something that I think is good to expound on. If you're going to end up paying somebody to build some AI stuff for you, you should get it as close as possible, like you're talking about. Like, just use an AI to get you as close as possible to what the thing you're trying to create would look like, sound like, or feel like. Then send it to them to polish it off, because if you'll save a lot of money and you'll save a lot of time having it done that way. Um, and then the
No doubt.
estimating thing, I think, is just so cool. And this is slightly away from or it's a lot away from land clearing, but we set this up for a pressure washing company, and now the only thing they have to do is put in the address and the services wanted, and it will put out a full estimate accurately 10 out of 10 times. Um, and so basically, the sales process for them is cakewalk. And you could end up automating this all the way through, where somebody fills out a form, puts in their address, and they get a highly accurate estimate without you ever having to talk to them or go to them. Now, of course, we all know going in person is like the move, but in terms of them being able to get information quickly, that's going to be another huge differentiator in business. Is if you can produce a high level professional proposal or estimate in a fraction of the time that it takes someone else to send a gross Google Doc looking estimate that just has like a number and the logo on it, you're going to definitely stand out versus your competitor.
I mean, along those lines, I don't think we're too far off from being able to walk the site with the customer, record the transcript, and pop out an estimate by the time it's done for you to review and make sure it makes sense, and then show to the customer. It's like
Right.
you could literally have an iPad with you.
Yep.
And I really do believe that by the end of, or like by next summer, May, we will have that internally because of how fast it's moving. I mean, look, I gotta show this because it's so exciting. My wife is like, "What are you doing?" Like, I literally feel like the biggest nerd right now. Um, I've always got my computer right now, but I figured out this vibe coding thing, and it's just been so much fun. Um, so like, I literally like have been doing this all the way until I fall asleep at night. Um, but just to kind of show you guys what's possible. So like one big problem I have right now is we record the podcast, we record live streams, right? I also do solo YouTube videos on this stuff, as you do as well. But we also take all this content and then we repurpose it and publish it. And you got to like edit the short form clips on the back end to find what actually makes sense and what doesn't. Make sure that that's something you want to put on your social media. And so I think practically for a land clearing guy or another blue collar business operator, one of the biggest pains for us, especially being in the field operating equipment, we know that we need to be doing content. We know that we need to be on social media, but it's so painful because it's like, one, where do I start? Two, you see people like Garrett Williams on YouTube and you're like, man, I'm so far behind because like he's doing that really well. I need to record long form. And then you see somebody, doing short form really well. And you're like, wait, but I need to be on Instagram. Like if I'm not, it's a massive pain, right? Because you're like, I'm putting all this effort into this business. And if I'm not putting myself out there and marketing ourselves on social media, then I'm missing out on some potential leads, right?
Yep.
And so the big pain is like, how do you take content and then push it out together? Uh, basically like record once and then have the AI kind of create all these different clips. And so, yeah, check this out. This is what I've been working on internally for the podcast. Like when we record a live stream like this, I want to be able to basically run it through a system that we can record, we can run it through AI, we can clip it up, we can post to all the different social media channels that we want to be on, and then the AI is going to like edit based on all of it. But there are all these manual processes that have to happen at the end of hitting end on a podcast, right? And
Yeah.
so I think the same could be true for a blue collar business or a land clearing guy, where it's like if you just record in the field, kind of showcase what you're doing in a long form setting, I truly believe that we can get to a point to where you can hit end, we can run that through an AI, and it can create all your short form, post to YouTube shorts, post to Instagram, post to Facebook, write blog posts, do newsletter. And then obviously we're going to have to review and train this model. And so it's not like straight up plug and play right now. The reviewing and the prompting is where this comes in.
Yeah, and that's where the agents come in, because you can have an agent plan, an agent build, an agent review, and then like a peer review of that review. And when you have all these agents backing each other up, that's how you can really get a polished thing without you having to do a whole lot of review.
Definitely.
But that's kind of the 301 side, where you
Yeah.
can't just you can't just pop out a couple agents signing into ChatGPT. Like you gotta build that up on a platform that supports that. But
No doubt. No doubt. So let's go into tactically the prompt. So if you're just starting out, what Jacob has said is like you need to train the AI on your business and on yourself. And so one thing that we do inside of our school group here is we've got a free school group and we've got a training called Messaging Mastery. And so in here, I believe one of the most important things that you can do to start out is training your GPT. And so we have this prompt framework right here. So basically, um, we've created this prompt template here where you can go copy and paste this into GPT. So it's like, look, you are an expert at crafting marketing messaging for, and if it's highlighted, you insert your business name and then you insert your website. And what that's doing is, are you able to see this Google Doc,
yeah,
Jacob? Okay. What that's doing is you're giving the website or you're giving the AI your website so that it can go scrape everything. You are also an expert at writing uniform messaging across marketing channels, including all social media, email, and paid ads. I don't know about you, but one of the biggest problems I even struggled with early on is like, one, what's the message I want to push to my ideal customers? But two, if I like changed my messaging, then you got to go update it across all your platforms. And so I see a lot of people having different messaging on their website, their Facebook, their Instagram, YouTube. It's not uniform for targeting the ideal customer. So basically, like I've created a bunch of worksheets in here where it's like we have a competitor analysis, market research, customer avatar, messaging worksheet, service uniqueness, value proposition. So basically, we have all the following worksheets to work through together. And I want you to help me complete each worksheet to help me get crystal clear on the exact marketing messaging I should be using to target our ideal customers. I want you to ask me any and all necessary questions that you need me to answer so that you can complete this to the best of your ability. And remember, whenever we're saying your ability, we're talking to the AI right now. So once again, we're prefacing the project that we're about to do, and we're asking the GPT to learn about our business and train itself up so that it can help us complete all of these to the best of its ability. Once again, Jacob mentioned this earlier. I need you to ask me all questions about insert your business in your website that you need to know to provide me with the best possible outcomes on each worksheet. My goal is to craft marketing messages that will resonate with my ideal customer profile. I will be copying and pasting the worksheet templates mentioned above, and I want you to update your memory as I provide answers to your questions. We'll complete all of these in the chat together, so please keep your memory updated. Please let me know if you have any questions. If you start with that prompt, it's going to come back with asking you questions specifically. And then what you need to do, and this is where most people fail, is they're just like, oh, I want the AI to do it for me. If you spend time thinking and answer those questions very specifically, that's where the gold is. Like, that's exactly where the gold is.
100%.
So basically, all you do for listeners is you'd copy this, and I can put this here in the description. So if you don't have it, just post a comment here below, or you can go join the free school group. You would put this in here, and then you go to ChatGPT or Claude, whichever one you want to use. Copy it. You'd paste it. You'd come up here and you'd put insert your business. Jacob, you want to use your business, or you have a business you want to use for an example?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm not seeing. If you moved back over, I'm still on the Google Doc. There you go. We're there. Yeah. Yeah. Ours is fine.
You put for Rise or Land Clearing Growth.
Yeah, Rise is fine. Yeah, riseonlineads.com.
Is that the one you want, or landclearinggrowth.com?
It's the same. Land clearing growth just forwards to Rise.
So, guys, if you're watching this, you'll go back. Make sure that you insert your business and insert your website in the highlighted. That's all you need to do. So in the prompt, when you go back to ChatGPT, I need you to ask me all the questions about, and then change it right here. Okay. Now we're going to do this. So I did a quick scan of Rise Online Ads site, so I'm not starting cold. This is the GPT speaking back to you. Here's what you currently position. A family-owned agency focused exclusively on land clearing and forestry mulching with tiered offers, starter, growth, freedom, promising average ROI ranges, and emphasizing automation, lead tracking, and US-based account managers. So most of my questions are about sharpening that into a killer differentiated narrative. Here are the questions I need from you, Jacob, grouped by worksheet. Answer in whatever order you want. If something feels redundant, skip it, but the more detail you give, the sharper the outputs will be.
100%.
Who do prospects most often compare you to? Agency names, freelancer, my nephew runs ads, etc.
Yeah, and that's super important. Like for the land clearing guys, like if there's somebody in your market who you're like, that guy's the goat, put him in there, because it can go pull, commonalities and, things that they're doing. And you may not realize that your competitor might have listings on like 8 different platforms that you don't know of. You only see them on Facebook. And so that's super important to let it do that.
All right, you want to answer these questions live, or you want to do this on your own?
I don't know if I need to answer them live.
Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Go down through this. If you go answer these questions right here, I'm telling you, it's going to help you for your specific market. And Jacob, since our last conversation, whenever you were doing land clearing, like demographic or market size capacity, it's insane right now. Like, if a guy goes and focuses a land clearing business on a specific, just picks one county, there is so much opportunity right now.
Massive, dude.
Massive. And like, you don't need to create the next, like land clearing for the whole United States. You just need to pick your county and go buy one skid steer, pay $2,500 or $3,000 a month with the mulching head and the skid steer. Follow the stuff that you talk about, follow the stuff that we're talking about. And like, you can easily, I shouldn't say easily, but if you put work and effort into it, like, what's the opportunity like? If a guy goes and picks one county in the Southeast or the Southern or the Midwestern United States, one skid steer, like, what can that guy go do if you commit everything to it over the next 2026, next year?
One machine, 250,000 a year is a no-brainer. 500,000 is doable if you're locked in. Now, there will be variables there, like, machine breakdowns and weather and all of that stuff. Um, Ideally, I just had this problem with one of our clients who is booking into March of next year, one machine, one operator. And I'm like, dude, what can we do to get you another machine and start training somebody? Can you rent? Like, what do we need to do? Because they're still getting leads daily. And it's like, are you going to cap yourself or are you going to grow? Uh, Anyways, kind of sidebar, but to answer your question, I have a super good example of this. And I probably shouldn't be saying this because it makes me look less valuable, but I just talked to a guy in Central Texas who is doing 1.5 million a year for the last 6 years. $600,000. I've seen the P&L. $600,000 profit. It's him, 3 operators, 4 machines. And he has no website, no listing, no wrapped truck. No one knows he exists besides his customers. And so, like, anybody out there giving themselves excuses, like, there's just no excuse to be had, man. He's doing $600,000 a year in profit, like into the bank money, and he has no marketing. So imagine if you're marketing, what would be possible. And this guy is an owner. He's not operating the machines. He is running the business for the last 6 years. It's not like a 1-year fluke. It's been for the last 6 years. Um, so just to give people encouragement there. And again, always going back to my video that everybody always calls BS on, that if you're not doing $2 million a year, you have not tapped your market wherever you are.
Well, it kind of goes back to, man, and I've had to learn this lesson the hard way. Like, I'm as bad as anybody when it comes, I'm going to stop putting this into existence. In the past, the biggest thing I've struggled with is shiny object syndrome. When I started Bear Claw, I picked land services because I actually didn't know what we were going to focus on. I thought that we would have demand for fire mitigation, like land clearing for fire mitigation. I knew there was a demand. Some of the builders were telling me there was a demand for driveway grading. Hey, if a guy would just go focus on driveway grading, like, you could have as much work as you want because the big excavation guys don't want it. And that's proven to be true. And I would be willing to bet that in every US market, most US markets across the US, if you focus on insert your city plus driveway grading, and there's a lot of rural gravel driveways, you can clean up, especially as a solo owner operator. Why? Because those big excavation companies with a lot of heavy, expensive iron don't want to dip back down to that.
Yeah.
But
Well, and just a little bit of icing on that, if you focus on your customer and what they want and don't just try to roll up, roll out, go to the next job, when you have that machine at their house doing whatever you're doing, figure out what else they want done and how you can do it for them. They will think that you're taking care of them and you will increase every ticket. And as an owner operator, it may be hard to think about like increasing average order value, but that's what's going to blow your margins and make you all the money. But yeah, if you can do that and be a legit business with insurance and a reputation and take pictures and videos of everything you do all day, every day, like if it's just you, there's no reason to not be doing that. There's no reason anyways, but yeah, you do that. Like right now, my driveway needs to be fixed. And I guarantee you, if I paid for some dude to bring his skid steer over there, I've got about 7 other things I could probably have him do. But I'm also busy. So if he didn't come out and like make it a point to be like, hey, I noticed this over here. Like I'm here, you want me to fix that real quick. I would say yes with no hesitation. But if I like got distracted or wasn't thinking about it, or it's something I didn't even know existed or could be fixed, then, he would lose out on another 20-30% on that job that day. Just kind of a little nugget there.
Yeah. And I want to hammer on something. The biggest lesson I've learned since starting Bear Claw, and I learned this from, I'll keep his name private, but um, the guy I've been working with down in Texas, very savvy entrepreneur, knows how to market and knows how to sell. His strategy is pick at the high level one service. Why? Because you can dump all of your marketing dollars into selling one service. Going back to relating this to a Hormozy style offer, you become known as the expert in land clearing. That doesn't mean that you cannot offer driveway grading in the future. But where I made the mistake, and this is what I want to share with the listeners right now, and where I see a ton of guys making this mistake, especially in dirt and clearing, you try to be everything for everybody on your marketing. And what that does is you're telling Google that you're not the expert in one thing. So you're one, reducing your SEO credibility, meaning your ability to rank at the top number one for one search term. That's called kind of getting people in on the front end offer. Two, what you're doing, if you slap all that, excavation, driveway grading, land clearing, like gutters, we do house washing. Like if you're trying to be concrete, right? Like if you're trying to be that for everybody, you're not, the customer subconsciously does not trust you as the expert.
Right.
And so that was the hardest lesson for me to learn. Why? Because we think as entrepreneurs that we have to go, we think our market's so small. And we think, oh, if I don't offer all these things, especially in the early days, I'm going to lose out on cash flow. But if I can go back to starting Bear Claw, right? And I've repositioned our offer for the front end. Like we are becoming known as the fire mitigation company in our county. Why? Because it is a service we can market and we can get customers in on the front end, and we can get really, really good at delivering that service. Relate this to one of your land clearing guys, right? The best business name is what for a county?
X County Land Clearing.
X County Land Clearing. Why?
Yeah. It's going to make you look better. It's going to make Google see you better. You're going to be positioned so much better. It's going to look better on everything. And it's just easy. And like you said, if you have X County land and concrete and fencing, then you're going to confuse people on the front end. But if you don't confuse people on the front end and you get to their property for the pretty much earliest thing they can do besides surveying is clearing, then they trust you. Then you could be like, hey, I actually have the ability to put in a driveway for you. If you want it, I'm here. They already have that trust. Your machine's already there. You can offer that stuff on the back end, but not on the front end.
So to hammer on that point, we're kind of getting into upsells, but like, what does Hormozy do whenever you buy his first product? That's his marketing captured you on his first product, right? You came in and you bought that first product. Then it's no longer a marketing play. Whose responsibility is that to sell the next one?
Yeah, exactly. You can't even get sold. You cannot buy the other things until you've gone through the first thing. And that's a whole other thing of like talking about your businesses. Like you don't want to get someone to hire you for this crazy multi-stage project. You may not like that customer. Let's do the thing you're really good at first and then see where things go from there. It's going to help you qualify them, and then they can, learn to trust you. But yeah, you can't even buy the upsells until you've come in and got the value from the first thing. It's just the best way to do business.
So you've spent dollars on marketing to go get people to come in your funnel for land clearing, which is your bread and butter as an operator. You go perform a land clearing job for people. And I think a lot of owner operators get bumped because they're like, well, I really like doing driveways too. It's like, well, that doesn't mean you can't.
Yeah.
But that is a sales process. Like that is a sales responsibility. And you present that as an upsell after earning the customer's trust. And I will say that's the biggest lesson I learned. dump all your marketing dollars into one service, dominate on SEO for that, for your local area, build trust with the customer, and then offer them an upsell if they're a customer who you like working with.
Yeah. And that goes back to psychology. Like you want to say something and be able to prove it as fast as humanly possible. So like it could go as early as, if you submit a request for an estimate, I will reach out to you in the next 12 hours. So you do that, then you reach out right away. And they're like, okay, that guy said something and then he backed it up and it was true. And we offer free in-person estimates. Hey, yeah, I would love to come out to your property and give you, can I come tomorrow at 9 a.m.? Okay, now there's two things he said and it came true. And I want the best for your property. I'm going to come out here and make sure that, you're educated on what's actually the best for you and give you, affordable options with, good, better, best. And then you come out and you actually do that. And then you say, hey, I'm going to get to your property at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. And then you show up at 7 a.m. Monday morning. Now, before you've ever done the job, you've made 5 promises and we're good on them. So you build so much trust with the customer before you ever even did work at their property. And that those little things are huge for psychology.
Huge for psychology. Jacob, I know you're camping with the family, so thanks for joining this morning. I want to take a point right here. What's your time like? Do you need to jump off here?
Probably yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting the looks.
Yeah. Rock and roll. I'll stick around here. Does anybody have any questions? Looks like, let's see. Jackson, any questions here on the live stream? Nope. No questions so far. All right, listeners, thanks for joining on this live stream. Jacob and I do these every other Friday, and we talk topics specific to land clearing business owners and operators for how you can grow your business. We talk Facebook ads. Today we've been talking AI. We jumped into upsell strategy. We'll be talking more of this in the future. Any ideas for the next one that you can leave the listeners with? You want to dive deeper on upsell strategy?
I do really like that, kind of increasing that average order value in a not salesy way, like you're providing more value to the customer, and so it's a win-win for you and them. I really love that. It increasing your average order value by 10% over years is going to drop huge profit to your bottom line. So
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listeners, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Owner Ops Podcast. Jacob, thanks for joining. If you do want access to that messaging mastery training where you get crystal clear on your ideal customer, your most profitable service, and then how to train ChatGPT on going to help you leverage your marketing messaging, just jump in the free school group, school.com/OWNROPS. We'll see you over in there. Introduce yourself. Would love to meet you and love to learn what area that you are focused on. Jacob, anything to share for listeners about your services that you offer for sort of the higher level guys?
yeah, if anybody's listening, today's the last day for our Black Friday sale. If you're at that point where you need to hire or want to hire an agency to help you out, I'm basically giving a free month and a free website if you sign up this week. Today's the last day. So if you're already in a position to allocate marketing dollars to kind of pour some fuel on the fire that already exists in your business, today would be the day to do it. But otherwise, if you ever just want to talk, I'm always open to talking to guys, giving tips and tricks. But I do know that the Owner Ops is an amazing source for all of that, from beginning to even running pretty hot and heavy with owner operator and a couple helpers and employees. Austin's got tons of awesome resources in there. So that's good stuff.
Cool. Thanks for that. Specifically though, what level? Like when does it make sense? You mentioned, hey, if you're at the point that it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it does vary. It does vary a little bit, but I'd say you really need to be making money and running already. The number I usually hit is about 25K a month. Sometimes if guys have some capital built up and their profit's good, under that they can make it make sense. But usually about 25K a month or more. Um, and you have actual capacity to grow. Like if we start sending you 50 leads a month, you can do 5 to 10 more jobs a month. Um, that would be the sweet spot for somebody coming in with us.
Fantastic. Well, listeners, thanks again for listening. And don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less. We'll see you guys in the next episode.